T. And then maybe one of the things, like if, as I mentioned, yay, New College. If you have questions, let me know, and I can answer those if you want to post them in the chat. And so I'm going to go through sort of how do people do financial planning for their education, and then what kinds of financial aid opportunities are there available at U of T. So I will just, let me get back into my screen here. There we go. So essentially, one of the most important things is that you have a financial plan, right? You want to have a financial aid plan. And for most domestic students, what that means is that they're going to have the bulk of their funding through either OSAP or other government loans. And that's sort of the biggest part of what most students create their financial plan through. Other things that can supplement government student loans, or in some cases can provide the bulk of funding, are things like family support. Some students do an amazing job through high school and they save all of their part-time earnings and have a good amount of money to bring forward from their own savings. And then of course there's things like RESPs, which are registered education saving plans. And so some of you may have parents who have set those up. Usually they're established when kids are really young and family members can put money in those, and then when you're a student you can withdraw from that. And those can in some cases provide a really good amount of funding available for students to help support them. Another sort of piece is part-time work income. So sometimes students have part-time jobs that help supplement their overall budget. The one thing that I would say is that we want to be really, really cautious around taking on too much part-time work income. Usually our guide is that if you're a full-time student, you don't want to be working more than say 10, 12 hours a week. So that's usually, depending on the kind of job that you have, maybe 3 shifts or so. When I was in school, I always worked worked at a part-time job. And what I would often do is have like a weeknight shift and then work 1 weekend day. And that sort of worked to balance things out overall with school if you're going to be a full-time student. And then of course, there's things like grants and scholarships. And some of those are both within U of T, so they're awards that U of T offers, or they could be external awards. And sometimes students have scholarships that they're able to access through. Most commonly are things like a parent's work may have a scholarship that students are eligible for. There's some provincial scholarships that students have as an ongoing scholarship from year to year. But usually for domestic students, what we see is that the bulk of the funding comes through student loans. International students, that's obviously a little bit different depending on where international students are coming from. Say, if it's a student from the US, there's government loans through the US, some in Korea as well, but a lot of international students, really their family is driving that financial component for them. So a little bit of, I just thought I'd go over a little bit of information about OSAP. So usually students can start applying for OSAP in June. So sort of right before the start of the fall term, you can submit your application in June. And I always recommend that students submit their application early, just so that you actually get your assessment back before school starts and you know what you're going to be eligible for before classes start. So I don't know whether any of you had this happen over the past couple of years. We've really seen some big changes with OSAP, and what that has mostly meant, particularly for students who live at home and commute, which is a lot of students. I know a lot of the students at New College, they commute from Vaughan, from Hamilton, from Scarborough, and they live at home. but commute. And a lot of students who are living at home, the OSAP over the last couple of years went down. And in some cases fairly substantially, like about $1,000 for last year. And so that's a big, $1,000 is a big difference for a student budget, right? So really encourage students to get their OSAP application in the summer to be able to get that assessment back. And sometimes there's some appeals that you can explore. Now I'll talk a little bit about that in a coming slide. But if you don't get your OSAP application in before before school starts, that's okay. What you can do is you can still submit an application up usually until about the end of February. So sometimes a student's situation might change, and this is a perfect example this year under what we're living with this COVID pandemic. So you might be a student who typically your parents can cover your tuition costs and you don't need to access student loans. But say a parent has lost a job because of the economic impact of COVID, you could actually apply for OSAP in this year, provide updated information about your parents' income, and may be eligible. So one of the other pieces about OSAP is that it is now, used to be pretty exclusively just for students who were full-time. And now there's a very sort of more accessible part-time study OSAP available as well. Most students are accessing OSAP when they're full-time students, right? So under OSAP, a full-time course load is 60%, or that would be sort of the equivalent of 3 courses in each term. If students are registered with accessibility services and they have a recommended reduced course load, they're eligible for OSAP with a 40% course load, which is 2 courses in each term. And then under the part-time OSAP, that would be a 50% course load. So usually that works out to be just 2 courses per term. OSAP is usually a mix of loans and grants. So some of it has to be repaid. Some of it is often a grant that is non-repayable. So it can really be worth submitting an OSAP application to really see what is that mix of loans and grants. And when you get that assessment in the summer, it'll break down that information for you as well. One thing we're aware of this year is that with OSAP, there is a larger portion of grant this year than there has been in previous years. There were some significant changes that the federal government made. So just one thing for you guys to know, OSAP, even though it's an Ontario student loan program, part of it is funded by the federal government. And that's true across all of the provinces. So every provincial loan is a mix of federal support and provincial support. And this year, the federal government made some enhancements to the grants, particularly because of the COVID situation that we're living in, and recognizing that students have been quite impacted by COVID, particularly around things like the summer job market, the impact on part-time income, right? Because I think there's a real recognition that a lot of the kind of work that students do as part-time jobs, which often is in the service industry and the restaurant and hospitality industry, those are areas that have been really, really hit. So the federal government has sort of increased that grant portion. So that's one thing that we've seen this year. And one of the other pieces that's a little bit new over the past couple of years, it used to be that OSAP went directly to the student and then the student paid their fees. Over the past couple of years, there's been a change. Now what happens is there's a portion of OSAP that is specifically for tuition, and that now comes to U of T and goes directly to tuition, right? So if you guys are receiving OSAP this year, you've probably already seen that some of that has gone to your tuition fees. Then the remainder of it goes to the student. And usually there's a portion that's either for living expenses or is available for support around transportation, books, other educational costs. So that's one thing that's a bit of a change, and from sort of the registrar's office perspective is that when we're working with students and assessing grants, we know that often it's more useful for a student to get that funding directly. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the various opportunities for financial aid that is available to all students. And so I wanted to cover off, I'll sort of specify things around the college piece a little bit more, given that our group is sort of arts and science, but all of these are actually applicable to whether you're in a different division or whether you're at a graduate level. And some of you guys may be at U of T and go on to grad school. There are still opportunities to access these different pieces of financial aid. So at U of T, there's sort of three main ways to find financial aid support. And so UTAPS is one of them. That's a central grant that is distributed through enrollment services. There are college and divisional grants. So those are need-based financial aid awards. Usually they sort of sometimes go by bursaries, but they're called grants. So that's non-repayable financial aid. And then there are scholarships and awards. And often those are things that students have to apply for in order to be eligible for them. So UTAPS, you don't have to apply for that. There's a few circumstances where you do, but for the most part, you don't have to apply for it. College and divisional grants, you have to submit a grant application. Scholarships and awards, some are automatically assessed. Some of them require an application. Okay, so I'm going to go into detail with each of these. So what the heck is UTAPS, right? People talk about UTAPS. UTAPS stands for University of Toronto Advanced Planning for Students. Essentially what it is it's a central grant that is assessed, and students, it's assessed a bit on a common mechanism, and that common mechanism is OSAP. So the University of Toronto gets OSAP information about all of our students. And one of the things that OSAP will do is OSAP will sort of tell you when you fill your application out what your financial need is, and then it will give you the amount that you're receiving, right? So if you're living at home, OSAP assesses your tuition costs, your calculated sort of transportation, book expenses, technology expenses, other kinds of educational things. It figures out what are U of T fees, you know, what are your transportation costs to get to the university, and then it spits out sort of what you're eligible for. For most students, if they're living at home, the maximum OSAP amount is sort of in the $10,000 range. If you're living away from home, OSAP also assesses what your living expenses are and provides a living away allowance is how they refer to it. And so if under OSAP they calculate that your financial need is more than what OSAP will cover, because there's an OSAP maximum, which is a little closer to $15,000 than it used to be. But say your financial need is showing as $18,000. That's where UTAPS comes in and it fills in that amount. So say OSAP calculates your unmet need at $18,000 and you're getting 15, you'd get a UTAPS grant for $3,000 that would go directly to your fees. So in order to be assessed for UTAPS, you have to be receiving the maximum OSAP and still have financial need. Usually where we see UTAPS typically applied is for students who are in deregulated programs, so students who are in commerce and computer science where their fees are higher than the regular sort of tuition program fee, or students with dependents. So students who have children typically are eligible for UTAPS grants. The one thing about UTAPS is it's automatically assessed. You don't have to apply for it, but it's not very flexible, right? It's really based on the metrics and the way that OSAP assesses students' financial need. So UTAPs, you know, for students, I would say that the biggest place, the largest grants we see, as I mentioned, are students in deregulated programs. Students who are in a regular program fee, if they're living at home and receiving OSAP, usually are not eligible. But that's where the college grants and divisional grants become a really, really important piece for students. And so I'm just gonna sort of head into the information about the college grants. So this is where, for most of you, if you have additional financial need, would be where you would be submitting an application. So all of the colleges and all of the divisions have grants available for students to apply to. And those are really to support students in terms of financial need that they have. There's a new grant application form this year, and it's on Acorn. So you go on to Acorn. I've got a link here that you guys are going to be able to access a little bit later on. When you go in, you have to complete all the sections in the online form. And so that includes your budget for the year. You can put some additional information in. So usually there's a part in there where you can put a statement in. So often students will put in information like, you know, last year my OSAP was assessed at $12,000. This year it's 10, it's lower than I had anticipated, but my costs are remaining the same. Or maybe information about, I lost my part-time job, I haven't been able to find one. So there's a chance to be able to put a bit of information about your financial situation. With the colleges, all of the colleges and a lot of the divisions will ask you to book an appointment with an advisor at the college. And we're doing all of these by MS Teams now that we're up and running. So you would meet with one of the advisors at your college and review your application. And there's lots of things that become really important in this meeting is that often what I find is students maybe haven't explored some of the OSAP appeals that they can submit. So for instance, last year, there was a new appeal for students for a travel allowance. So lots of students who, particularly at New College, who we work with, take multiple modes of transit to campus, right? So they might need Brampton Transit, Go Transit, and then TTC. Not so much right now, but I'm giving an example for a normal year. And that becomes really expensive, right? That's 3 different transit passes. So there's a mechanism where students can submit an appeal and may be eligible for an increase in their OSAP to offset some of those travel expenses. Additionally, sometimes students don't know that they're eligible for a living away allowance, and we can help navigate that. It's also where we can really go through things in detail and review the budget. And really, sometimes we get applications that just aren't reasonable in terms of, I sometimes meet with students and they might put something like $150 down for groceries in a month. No, we don't want you eating ramen all month, right? We want you to be able to have good budget, make sure that your budget is really reflective of what your living expenses and your school expenses really are. So you'll meet with an advisor once you submit your application. And the one thing about the college grants is this is where we have an opportunity for a bit of discretion and a little bit more flexibility. So UTAPs is not flexible, it's just assessed based on OSAP application. When we're working with a student in terms of financial need, that's where we have the ability to be much more flexible in terms of what we're looking at for overall expenses. So we know for some students, they may be living at home, and while OSAP isn't going to provide any sort of living allowance, some students may be helping out with the family expenses with either paying their own groceries or helping out with room and board and that kind of thing. that's where we can be a little bit more flexible. We can also, as mentioned, for students who have had their employment situation change, we have an opportunity to be able to sort of be a little bit more flexible around, can we provide some help to offset a loss of income? Or sometimes we might meet with a student and find out they're working like 20 hours a week or 25 hours a week while still trying to balance a full-time course load. And often what we'll do is we'll really sort of suggest, what about if you reduce those hours a little bit and we can provide some additional support through the college that can help offset that loss of income, right? So that's something that I really encourage with students, is to really dial back some of those work hours, so that we've got the ability for you to really engage with school. For you guys being involved with student leadership positions, one of the things that that most colleges recognize is that if you're involved with a student group, or if you're involved with a leadership position in a student group, it might mean that you're not able to work part-time that year. And that's also a place where my perspective is very much that that kind of involvement in sort of co-curricular opportunities at the university are really important. And I would really encourage a student to make the choice to be involved with a student group and really look to, are there college grants that could help if you have to step away from work? Yeah. So, you know, this is one of the things that really can help, is that if you're balancing a number of jobs and you really find that it's impacting your ability to really focus on the schoolwork piece, that's where we can really provide some assistance and help step away from one of those, hopefully, right? So, and the other piece is that not only can we be a little bit more flexible, we can also be flexible in the way that the grant is issued. So UTAPS is automatically applied to tuition fees. If there's anything remaining, it gets refunded to the student, but often tuition fees eat it all up. One of the pieces about the college grants is that we really can recognize that if students are in a position where they need sort of some cash up front to cover their immediate expenses, we can make sure that the funding is directed directly to the student to have to get through the term. So sometimes that's things like covering food costs, transportation costs. Sometimes if people have to move suddenly, we might provide some funding that would help with first and last, because if you've got an OSAP loan and it's November and all of a sudden you have to move, you're waiting until January to get some of that OSAP in your pocket. So that's sometimes where we can provide some additional income. And I would say that for the most part, the college grants are sort of in the $2,000 to $3,000 range. So they're not huge, but they really do make a difference, right? And so a $3,000 grant might mean you can pull back on some of those work hours. So as I mentioned, there's a new application this fall. There's a video, that link that's there, that we're going to share the slides afterwards. That link is a video link that sort of walks you through how to use it. Basically, you fill out the application form, and when you submit it, it comes to your college, and your college will contact you, ask you to set up an appointment. Then typically what happens is, after the advisor meets with the student, all the colleges and all the divisions have their own local grants committee. So a recommendation goes to the grants committee. And then what happens is that the overall committee assesses things, and then they have the grant process. So glad to see that you guys are making use of the grants that are available through the colleges. That's one of the most important things, is making sure that students are aware of them, right? And that's one thing that I'd really ask you guys to get the word out on. is that there is financial aid available through the colleges and through the divisions. And I really want to make sure that students know that they can apply for those. Really, really important. I would so much rather see a student submit a grant application than feel that they've either got to step away from school for a while or that they've got to drop courses and increase their work hours. So the best thing to do is meet with one of the advisors that you have available at the colleges. And pretty much the thing at the colleges is that, you know, more or less, there's a dedicated advisor who is working on the grants and awards. So at New College, the person who we have is Amber Gertzbein, who is doing the awards and financial aid. I know at Woodsworth, it's Yvonne Hilder. And at the other colleges, they usually have a dedicated person for that. So that's likely who you would end up meeting with. Okay, and this is just the new grant portal. Just a screenshot in terms of if you go into the grant portal, it gives you some information, gives you a little tutorial since it's new and it's a little bit different from last year. We're hoping some of the enhancement to it is going to mean that it's going to speed up some of the payment processes, because on the system we actually can just make decisions and send it up to enrollment services for them to process. So hopefully that's all going to work out well on that side of things. Okay, so there's the grant. That I would say is that for students who have financial need is the most reliable, and really the access is sort of the most amount of funding that's available. So the other piece that I wanted to talk about was around other awards and scholarships, right? And that's sort of, you know, you might be able to find some support there as well in terms of additional financial support. And I would say that, you know, awards at U of T run the gamut from $500 for a first year merit-based award, so based on academic performance, and they can run up to, you know, I know Woodsworth has a leadership award. We have a leadership award that are valued at sort of $10,000 and $12,000. So they can be really substantial and they can kind of fall anywhere in between. But usually with awards and scholarships, the requirements are such that it's not based on financial need. It's either based in terms of scholarship on academic performance, or with some other awards, it's based on sort of specific requirements or sort of leadership pieces or sort of, you know, co-curricular involvement and that type of thing. So one of the pieces also new that was launched last year is the U of T Awards Explorer. And it basically is a database that you can search by a couple of different permutations. So you can go in and you can search things by arts and science or your college. You can look for awards that are specific to international students. You can look for certain kinds of leadership types of awards. So what I usually recommend is that one of the things to do is start with your sort of local divisional and college awards, right? Because, and even program awards. So that's really where I would suggest that you start looking, is what's available at your college and what's available at your program. So at New College, and I know at Woodsworth, there's a range of awards that are based on academic merit. So basically what happens is we get a list of students with their overall GPA, and we start at those 4.0 GPAs and we just kind of work our way down and basically award them until the money is used up. So I know that at New College, that's a very, very competitive group. And those are, those awards sort of are based, usually range between $500 and about $2,000. Some of the departments have academic merit awards as well. So, you know, my first job was at the drama program when I came to U of T, and they had some awards that were specific to travel, some that were specific to whether they were in fourth year acting class. So sometimes they're very specific. There are things like awards that are scholarships that are for, you know, the top grade in Bio 120, for instance, that type of thing. So the one thing about scholarships and awards is that I always recommend that students look broadly across all the division, the college, their program that they're in, because the one thing is that if you find an award that's a match, you may be likely to get that award, right? And sort of the more esoteric sometimes, the more likely you are to be one of the few applicants for that. That's one of the things that with scholarships, particularly and awards, is that you might be able to find something. So for instance, I know there's an award out there that is for a student who graduated from a high school in Hamilton who is in engineering. If you happen to be that student, that might be a really good award for you to apply for. So there's things like awards that are specific to region. There's awards that are specific to area of study. Sometimes they're specific to things like really sort of into the specific area of study. So for instance, we have an award that is for an international student who's from Hong Kong and is majoring in philosophy. So if you're that person, that's a good award for you. The other piece, and this might be more applicable for you guys. Sorry, I'm just gonna, I've got sun coming in, which is lovely, but in my eyes there. One of the things that you guys might be eligible for or think about are what kind of awards are out there where leadership or co-curricular involvement is a requirement, right? So with the New College Leaders Award, with the Bronfman Award that's at Woodsworth, leadership is a big component of those scholarships. So they're looking for students who are strong academically, but have really shown a lot of leadership and involvement at the college and at the university. And so those are some of the things that I think, you know, if you match those, they're excellent awards to apply for. And I find those leadership awards in many places tend to be the larger awards, like in terms of $5,000 or $10,000. So those are really, really good pieces to look for. And again, I'm just going to sort of take a look at the Awards Explorer. It's divided up into undergraduate and graduate awards. And so if you go into that undergraduate award piece and you do the search, it'll give you a long list of awards that you may be eligible for. And if there's an application required, it'll take you to the application. So lots of good information there, and really makes it so much easier. It used to be that you had to go to the New College site, you had to go to the political science site, or you had to go to arts and science and look all over the place. This has really brought things together in a much more comprehensive way. So hopefully that's the one that you guys will find helpful. So the other piece, and I didn't go into a lot of detail because I know you've got like an accountant coming and they're going to really talk you through sort of the financial aid piece and how you really manage to sort of think about budgeting and putting a budget together. But I thought I'd just sort of go over some of those pieces as a sort of overview. So the most important thing, and the thing that I always will tell students, and in fact will tell parents when I meet them before school starts, is the most important thing is to create a realistic budget before school starts and to be able to have a sense of what your costs are going to be. I find students do this, right? Like it's very unusual that I would meet with a student and they haven't had put together a budget already, right? Usually that's school's expensive. People know it's expensive. It's a big investment. So really students are very good at putting together budgets. So one of the things, my advice is put your budget together before school starts. things might happen, right? And if things happen and you have unexpected expenses, it's easier to manage those if you have a budget that you've already worked out. So you want to think a little bit about things like what are fixed costs that you can't change, right? So tuition, unfortunately, can't change your tuition costs, right? Your program fees are what they are. Usually when we're coming to campus, your transportation costs are more or less fixed costs. You know, U of T's got a great opportunity for a student Metro Pass. So usually I really recommend that students do that and get that when they can. And if you're living on your own, rent is also something that is not, you can't, you know, under most circumstances can't negotiate that. You know what your monthly rent is going to be. And then what you want to think about is what are your variable costs or what are your variable opportunities for income? And where can you work those into your budget a little bit, right? So things like books and school supplies, I think more and more we've seen that come down, particularly with access to online resources. But, you know, sometimes there's printing costs that come into play. Food, so that is something that also, particularly if students are living on their own and they're coming to campus, where there can be some budgeting, right? So, you know, this is sort of, like I said, again, under normal circumstances when we are you know, out in the world and able to come to campus, is that sometimes students will buy their food on campus, and that's expensive, and kind of U of T doesn't have the best food opportunities also. Even though I usually bring my lunch, right? So that's one piece. Do you think about doing things like brown bagging it? You know, economize a little bit on, rather than ordering in or getting takeout, really managing your grocery expenses by buying your own groceries, buying in bulk, that kind of thing. And then again, part-time income is a place where, you know, like I mentioned, we want to make sure you're not working too much so that you're not able to manage your full-time school. But that's places where I remember when I was a student, what I would do is I worked very part-time when school was sort of full tilt. And then during things like reading week, over the Christmas break, at those times of the year, I might take on some additional shifts just to pick up a little bit of extra income. So sometimes the part-time income can be flexible enough that you can earn a little bit of extra money here and there. But I know that you're going to go into more detail after I'm done. And then I just sort of wanted to put a pitch in again about why it's good to connect with your college registrar's office or your divisional student services. As I mentioned, the advisors there focus on financial aid and planning, so they can help you with your budget, help you establish your financial plan. Often we do these a couple years in advance too, so if students are thinking about in a few years wanting to do something like a year abroad or a student exchange or a summer abroad, it's good to start talking about the financial part of that a couple years in advance and really thinking about what are the opportunities to connect with some financial aid specific to study away. And again, it's also where we can review whether there are OSAP appeals, other student loan options available, and then of course scholarship requests. So we often will make requests around that. And then just sort of to wrap up, I'll provide to you links for, the first one is for OSAP. The second one is around the scholarship and some of the enrollment services information, Awards Explorer, and then that last link is for the new grant application. So don't know whether any of you guys have questions. I know it's a lot of information, but the thing that I think is makes me feel great is that a few of you have mentioned that you were able to access some grants through your colleges and that it was helpful for you and helped manage some of the challenges of work and school balance. So that's really great. And so glad that you're adding on to this with some budgeting tips and some financial planning. So excellent. Oh,
Thank you,
yeah, the
Carrie.
Metro Pass. Indeed. And that, although right now you probably don't need a Metro Pass, but there's a student Metro Pass and it's available through UTSU. But you have to get there early because they only have limited amounts. So UTSU, or if you're at UTM or UTSC, locally they have it as well. So great. All right, so I'll give you guys back the screen.
Thank you so much, Carrie.
And I'm sorry, I have to run off because I got to feed my family and myself. But if you have questions, you can put them in the chat and I'll stick around for a couple of minutes. And then again, I would just encourage you to reach out to your college registrar's office and access some of the financial aid that's available there. And Feo, thank you again so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I think I might be muted. Thank you so much for being here. I'm not sure if I'm muted again.
Oh, now I'm muted. Oh, now I'm. I think you're good.
I'm good? All right. Thank you so much for being here. Greatly appreciated. Can everyone hear me? Okay, that's great. So it's almost 6 o'clock, so I'm just gonna introduce the next guest speaker, Jean-Marie. She is a chartered professional accountant, and she will be giving us some tips on saving and budgeting.
Hi, I'm here, Jean-Marie.
Apologies, got you. Hi, welcome.
So can I start now?
Yes, you're welcome to start.
All right.
There's screen options on the bottom.
Well, I'm glad to be here. I've done some of those sessions at York University, so this is my first time I do it with a U of T student. And just have an idea, the group here, is it first year, second year, or is it a mix of everybody here? Fourth year as well. Okay, it's good to know. So I just signed in a few minutes ago, and I see one of the slides the previous presenter was going on budget for fixed expenses, and so I have some of the overlap. So if anything I present, maybe in the chat you can let me know that you already covered that, because I was not there the whole presentation earlier. So anyway, I'm going to just jump in my presentation. So I am from CPA Canada. I'm a volunteer, and they sent me here. I've done a few, like I said, I've done a few of those sessions for York University, and actually the one I've done before was before we did it live. Would go to the place, and this is the first time I'm actually doing it on Zoom. I've done a few Zoom sessions with high school students, and there was some adult session as well, but that's the first Zoom session I do with university student. So with my Zoom, I just give some warning. My Wi-Fi sometimes it's cut off. Hopefully it doesn't do it in the next hour. Sometimes it doesn't do it at all. But if it does, I just have to sign back in, and usually it's 30 seconds I'll be back in. So don't worry if that happens. So everything's I want to say here. So I am a money coach. So what I do is I'm a CPA CA. I worked my whole career in the corporate world, mostly in like a financial controller role in large companies. I started working at Deloitte, I worked there for 5 years, and then I worked in industry. A lot of my role is heading up the finance department, like so I'll have financial reporting, and a group of people reports to me, and we would be responsible to issue the financial statement. And doing the budget for the organization was one of my role. Most of my role, I had to do that as well. So budget is very familiar to me. And a couple of years ago, I worked in the corporate world for about 25 years, and then in 2017, I decided to leave the corporate world, and I'm now self-employed as a money coach. So what I do is I help people get their financial house in order, and I do almost everything from budgeting and help them with their spending, tracking, to retirement planning, estate planning, look at the insurance, look at the investment. Sometimes they want me to look at an investment and see what are some suggestion on how they can make better returns on the investment. And there's a lot of opportunities out there that's available today that wasn't available like 10 years ago, where you can invest in funds that they don't charge you. The fees is very, very low. So some of that I do as well. And mostly I help people, like I said, get the financial house in order. So when they're done with me, they know where their thing is automated, they know where the things are, they know they're going to meet their budget, they know they're going to meet their plan, and they have a plan for long-term in retirement and all of that. So that's what I do. And I'm because I'm self-employed, I'm not attached to any product. So I can be totally objective in my suggestion, in my analysis, and because I'm not selling anything, so I'm selling my time. So I charge my time, but it's a fixed fee, so I'm not selling products. So that's what I do. Very, very. I really, it's kind of my vocation. That's what I like to do, and that's why I like to do those sessions. It's right into what I'm doing as my work vocation, or what you call it. Doing those financial literacy sessions is really rewarding for me. I really enjoy doing this. Now, with the Wi-Fi, okay, so hopefully we don't have this issue with Wi-Fi, but the challenge with the online webinar, I really enjoy doing it in person, but this time we can't, it's very difficult. So I can't see you guys, so I don't know how you're reacting, and that's one of the things for me as a presenter is a challenge, because I don't know, maybe you're sleeping behind your screen there, I have no idea, right? If you're in front of me, I can see how you're reacting, and I can, it's a better interaction. But we'll do. There's a chat box here. If there's anything you want me to know while we're doing this, you can just let me know. I'm going to do a quick presentation. The slides here are prepared by CPA Canada. So I'm going to go with the script, and if you have questions, if it's not related specific to that slide, I'll ask you to keep it at the end. We have a Q&A session. I'm going to try to finish within 45 minutes. So we got another 15 minutes of Q&A. You guys can ask me what a question you have in mind. So because of CPA Canada, I just talk a little bit about the CPA. Part of the presentation here is actually, let you know guys know what CPA does. There are in Canada about 210,000 CPAs in Canada, and they are in all walks of life, really. They work in industry, accounting firm for sure, lots of CPA there for sure. Not-for-profit, I'm involved in not-for-profit organization as well, being part of the board of some of those organizations. So CPAs are in, you'll find them, especially if you're in business, it's a good place to see from a business perspective what's going on. So CPA, usually you start your career in an auditing accounting firm, and you do that for 2-3 years. Myself, I did that for 5 years before I went to industry, but most of my colleagues, they'll do 3-4 years. And yeah, so accountant who we have the right to sign on financial statement. As a CPA, we are also licensed to audit financial statement. And so it's kind of a watchdog kind of role in making sure what we are showing in financial out there is in line with all the rules and regulations in terms of accounting pronouncements and practices. So that's a CPA. So you see in all industry as well. I mean, I just mentioned that they are everywhere. It's a good career choice. I can tell you that there's a lot of opportunities for CPA across industries, across regions. Something to consider for sure. This presentation, so I prepare for it and I look at it, and it's not specific to students. So it's a more broad presentation. So I'm going to focus on what is going to impact you, which I think at least will impact you as students about to graduate, I believe. If you're in the 4th year, then definitely you're about to graduate. So I'll focus on those slides. There's some of those slides that I think it's more for people who has already worked and has, already accumulated some wealth. I'm going to kind of skip them, but I'm going to mention it when I get to those slides. So the intent of, so I always ask myself the question, I'm going to spend an hour with you guys. So I want to make this an hour that you find valuable, that will be useful for you. And my intent is when you're done with this knowledge, that you get some incentive and motivation maybe to make some changes, and that will improve your financial situation, if not now, but in the future, because you get those habits in place that, you guys are all fairly young, at the start of your career when you graduate. So if you get those habits right at the beginning, you're going to go a long way. Hopefully my goal is that you don't have any financial headaches or financial challenges going into the future because you got those habits now, as opposed to, a lot of people I know, not a lot, I mean, some who, they get into trouble and then they have to course correct, right? So hopefully that will be helpful for you. And so I'm going to dive into the presentation now. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so I would think you guys see this. All right. Okay, so the gist of this presentation is about savings and saving strategies. So we're going to go over some of the saving strategies and kind of an overview. And then we're going to go through the 4 points here, the main points, which is doing a budget, paying yourself first, doing a budget, investing, reinvesting. You don't have to write that down. You're going to see it in the next one of the slides later. Investing your income, income from your investment, reinvesting those, and upholding a budget and controlling your expenditure. So when you look at the concept here, they are very easy. It's an easy concept, difficult reality. So there's nothing here that I'm going to tell you that you guys don't know. I think if it's the first time you hear this, I mean, I'm sure you've heard that, but I'm hopefully the way I present it to you, you'll find it very relevant and you would want to do it. But there's nothing here that's difficult. It's something you can do. It's a bit like, people tell you if you exercise, you be in better health, you feel better. So then we need to exercise. That's my analogy here. So some of the stuff here is like, it's good for you. Hopefully you understand why we're doing it and how we do it, because often it's it's the right thing, but you don't know how to do it. Like maybe you want to exercise, but you need a personal a fitness trainer to show you exactly what the movement or whatever the sports it is. You need some coaching. But once you get the you get the habit and you know how to do it, then it's easy. So that's the goal here. So savings. So did you know? I want to go to the next slide. So so this is agenda. Yeah, I'm going to stick to agenda here. Okay. So a couple of stats here. In Canada, we have most Canadian, with something we call a debt to equity ratio. The average debt to equity ratio in Canada is 170%. I used to track that on one of my role in my job, my last role. I was, anyway, I won't go into that, but I was tracking this because it's a concept that really impacted the industry where I was working. And I remember was on that 170% really resonate with me. I know that number is true. So what that means is if our debt to income ratio is 170%, is on average, a person would have debt on average 170% of their annual income. So somebody, I'll just pick a number. If you're making $100,000 a year, yeah, and it's quite possible, you know, after 10 years, 15 years, people make that kind of money. Then it means on average, a Canadian who makes $100,000 would have $170,000 debt. So that's a huge debt load compared to other countries. And so that's the point here. And the other thing is this is based on a CPA survey. The other stats in here was that 60% of those surveyed said they save less than 10% of their income. And now that survey was done 2 years ago. They're saying now that it's even lower than 10% these days. So I don't want to read the whole script here. It's kind of doom and gloom, and you know, we need to save more. We need to spend within our means, and all of that to be able to get out of like debt is not good. There's good debt and there's bad debt, but in general, it's not good to have too much debt. So that's the whole point about savings, is to spend less than what you make. So I'm going to go to the next slide. So savings, definition of savings is from what you earn, is how much you withhold from what you earn. And it's part of your disposable income not spent. So when we're talking about disposable income here, in your case, I was trying to think from a student perspective. That would be, I know this, the previous session, I don't know the content of the whole, I was there for the last 10 minutes, but I understand the previous session was about scholarship, was that right? So scholarship, if you get a scholarship or award, that's part of your disposable income, I would think. So you guys, you have a school to go to school, and you're full-time student. Most of you, I don't think, have a part-time job. Some of you maybe, but most of your income is already is what you earn from your scholarship, awards, bursaries, and loans, student loan. Now, so you can use that as your income in part of this exercise today, doing your budget, because that's your cash flow. It's really all of what you receive that you don't have to pay back is really a good way to look at your income that way. Loan, student loan, I know it's interest-free, but it's a good idea to set one of the goals. We're going to talk goals a little bit further in the presentation, to have your loans, you know, don't try to use that money. If you can just, at the end, if you can, you know, finish your university with no student loan, because you got to pay, when you start working, you have to pay and start earning interest on it. So it's a good idea to have a goal to minimize that as much as you can. So from the definition of savings, so it's one part you earn and then subtract from what you spend, right? So no, it's not rocket science here. So the reduction of your spending will increase your savings. So to be successful, it's a both. You have to look at both equations. It's the income. If you can increase your income, or you can decrease your spending, that's how you're going to increase your savings. And here it says it's a mindset. It's a mindset. That's for sure. It is a mindset, because you have to commit. You have to commit to the goal. I'm going to talk about goal again later. It's a mindset to save. Like you have to have this as an objective, as a goal, and because you know why you're doing it. So we're going to go further. You're going to find reason on why you want to do this. But you have to commit. Without commitment, it's not going to happen. And it has to be a habit. It's something that you do every day, consistent basis. It's not something you do like I'm going to save on. I'm just making it up. I mean, I'm going to save on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday maybe, and then the rest on the weekend I'm going to. It's a bit like when you do a diet, and some people they do a diet, they do it 6 days a week, and then they have a feast day on Sunday. You know, that can set them back. I don't know how much, but if you have a habit like that, it has to be daily. It has to be consistent all the time. And if you fail once in a while, you overeat, in case of diet, it's okay as long as you realize and then you start again. I mean, you don't give up because you fail one time, right? So it's a constant battle. I think it's a mindset, and you have to do it consistently. And sometimes, as you know, anything you do is if you have somebody help you, you have somebody that you trust or you respect. As an accountability partner, as somebody who, you know, maybe it's your best friend or maybe it's your parents, that you have to tell them how you did with your money on a monthly basis. Maybe you have to report to them. You don't have to, but you choose to. Then you have a better chance of succeeding because you've told somebody that you value, that somebody you respect in your circle of friends and family. Then you're going to make it happen, as opposed to you have a goal and nobody knows about it. Right? So understand your spending pattern and review your spending commitment. We're going to go over that. Of course, you got to track your spending to know where you have the opportunities to save more, and you have to review how you're doing against your budget. Okay, so this is what you need to do. Right? Okay, so the whole presentation is about those 4 points here. We're going to go through each one of them. Saving strategies. 1, pay yourself first. 2, make a budget. 3 is reinvest your income, your investment income. And then expenditure management. Expenditure management is your daily expense. Well, we're not going to go through the detail. The slides are coming. So it's how you track your spending, and of course, the less you spend, the better. All right. Sorry. Okay. So pay yourself first. From your employment income. In your case right now, I would assume you don't have income right now other than your bursaries and scholarship. So what percentage of that? In your case, it could be you don't want to save right now because you just need the money. I mean, you need the money to get through your school. You need to use some of that student loan, and you know, so if you were working though, pay yourself first would be to set an automatic withdrawal from your account where you have your paycheck, your employment income, your employment, usually they pay you on a bi-weekly basis. The minute, like I used to do is, the day I get my paycheck, I now know how it is, it's an automatic deposit into your bank account. The day I get that in my bank account, I know it's every 2 weeks, I match my savings to my investment account, whether my RSP, whatever investment vehicle I want to invest, automatically on that same day, it gets removed from my account and goes into so visually when I look at my bank statement, on the same day I'm making money, on that same day I'm saving for my investment. So that's a good practice. So from your employment income, and reduce your spending. And then when you paid yourself, then you commit to spend the rest of your income on what's left. You don't want to spend more than that. So, but once you've paid yourself first, then you have to really make a budget now to do not overspend. Okay. So I'm going to move on. So it says here RSP, TFSA, and all that. So I'm not going to go through these, but you know, like those are investment vehicle where you can save where you can save your money. So an example here. The next slide gives you some numbers. So what are your goals? What is it? Usually, like people want to be, you want to be able to save 10% of your income. Recommended, I recommend 15%. And some people are more aggressive, they want more. But let's say 10% as a minimum. So here is your savings. I don't know if you see my arrow here. I'm trying to show my arrow. You guys see that? So they got non-registered bank account. You got your RSP. So you take those two amounts, add them up, and then simple calculation. So whatever you're saving as a percentage is you take, you know, A is your income, A here, B is how much you save. So of course your percentage is B divided by A. That's your target. Your target is D, and then what's the difference between the two? So we're going to go through a number exercise. So as I'm doing this presentation, you can always go back to the slide because you have a copy of it. So sometimes those presentations, it's better you listen. I don't know if you had a chance to read it before, but anyway, I'm trying to say is try to follow what I'm saying as opposed to follow the slides, because it's you can always go back to the slide by yourself after. So the next slide. Go for an example of somebody who makes $40,000, right? That's an annual income. So you make $40,000, your bank account savings is $2,000. RSP, you save, you put 2,500 in RSP, so that's 4,500. Take the 4,500 divided by 40,000, you get 11.25%. That's your savings rate, which is pretty good. But if your target is 15%, then you're down, like you're not reaching your target. You should put another, if you to put 15% of 40,000 is 6,000, so you're short 1,500. So that's how you calculate your percentage. And the reason I'm bringing this up, and not me, it's a slide, it's the slide from the CPA, is you need to know what are your goals, what are you targeting. So this is a way to calculate what your target is. You got to know what to shoot for, right? So the point here is know your target and write it down, and then you can calculate it. And then you don't meet it, it's okay, but at least you know where you're trending. Like you have a goal, it's something to shoot for. So the next slide is, so the one is pay yourself first. Second is make a budget. Now, when you hear the word budget, that's why I would have liked to see all you guys. I can see your reaction to this. How do you think about a budget? Is it something? It has to be something positive. I know when we say budget, it doesn't sound too good. Maybe I'm not sure how you react when you hear that word. But a budget is a good thing. That's one of the goal of this presentation, is to change your mindset and make you think of budget of something very positive. It's something that really going to help you. As I was reading this presentation, it says the budget is a financial GPS. That's a good analogy because it gets you back to your, and you know how a GPS is, you know, you lose your way and then the GPS recalculates and then you always get back to your route. So it's a bit like this budgeting exercise, a bit like the GPS. You won't get lost. If you have a budget, you won't get lost, because as long as you're reviewing your budget and you're retracking and you're refocusing and reorienting your goal, you're going to get your destination eventually if you persevere into that habit. So that's why it says it's a financial GPS. Let me ask you the question. I don't know if you can, I don't know if I can see the chat box while I'm doing this. But my question is, how many of you, what do you think the percentage is? I might not be able to do this because I can't see your chat while I'm presenting. How many of you think people have a budget? How many people, like people in general, have a budget? So anyway, just think about it. I'm going to give you the answer. So how many people think have a budget? And then of those who have a budget, what's a percentage of being effective people are actually using it and doing it correctly and tracking it and making it a habit? So based on the study, and there's a number of studies that have been done on this, but the one that's mentioned here, one of the research is 77%, which is really high. 77% of people say they have a budget. You know, when they do a budget, that's a high percentage. But how many actually stick to it? Only 32%. So half of the people who do the budget. So you get 77% of people who does a budget, and only 32% of those actually do it correctly, and they stick to it. I mean, do it correctly, meaning they stick to it. So you have 2/3 of people either don't do it well, do it, but don't do it well, or don't do it at all. That's the stats. So one of the key here is if you hopefully you're in that 32%, and if not now, but in the future when you start working, you'll be in that 32% who not only do budget, but you track it and you stick to it, and you don't get discouraged. You keep at it, and you get better at it as you do it. So the budget is difficult to do. I mean, it's a concept that's very simple, but it's difficult for people in general to do. But why do we do it then? Why do we do it is difficult. So the reason you do it is because is a bit like it's goal setting. A budget is a management tool that allows you to set goals. It's something you can use to track your spending and then live within your means, so you don't get into trouble. You don't get into financial trouble in the future. So that's the main reason you do it. It's effective. It's not something that restricts you. Actually, it's free. It frees you. It's hard to think that way, but a budget frees you, because one of the reasons I wanted to become a money coach when I started was most of my people in my entourage, like people I know, my friends and family, they all have money. I tell you, they have money. Not filthy rich, but they have enough money to live on. And the culture I'm from, they save, and they don't spend at all. So it was an extreme. But if you had a budget, you can allow yourself to save, to go on a vacation, to buy something expensive that it's within your means. You go ahead and do it. But they have this mentality that they're not going to have enough, so they save too much. That's why for them a budget is good, because it gives them permission to do things that they can afford. On the other extreme, I have clients now on the other extreme that overspend. They don't do a budget, but they spend, and they're in financial difficulties. They got debts and they got financial trouble, right? Let's just do it to extreme. So these people have to do a budget so that they get back in line and get out of debt and get out into financial difficulties. So it's really a tool that allows you to do things that you can do, right? So it's very, very good to think it that way. It gives you permission to do things. It's a good discipline. I know discipline is a word, maybe, that's bad connotation as well, but it's a good discipline to do it. And it works. It works. Budget works. It's not difficult to do in the end. Once you get the heck of how to do it, it works. And it can be fun as well. All right. So that next slide is, I think it's an important page here. So how do you get started? How do you get started? One is financial analysis. So financial analysis, we've already gone through this a little bit. Financial analysis would be look at your income and then look at your spending. So now you know where your income is, where your spending is. So based on your income and spending, then you can start setting goals. What are your goals? If I was working, maybe my goal is to pay off my home. I bought a house, maybe I want to pay it off. Or maybe I want to save to buy a car. That might be my goal. Or I want to save to go to a vacation. I can do it right now, but maybe that was one of my goals to save. In your case, maybe your goal is to finish university with the least amount of debt, and maybe you put a number. You do a scenario with your income, with your scholarship awards and bursaries and all that, and then you spend, and then you have your Excel sheet. I'm sure you guys are all, you as a Toronto student, very smart. You have to be very smart to be where you are. So you do an Excel sheet, and then track, do a plan, and then set a goal. When I graduate, I want my debt to be either zero or to be not more than that level. And then these are the steps I'm going to do to get to, when I graduate, my level of debt would be that's where I want it to be. My student debt I'm talking about. So that when you start working, not a big number. So that's goal setting. So you start financial analysis, you set your goal, and then you have an action plan, like everything. So you could use this is a budget, but you could use that for anything you want to do. Like you analyze where you are, you set goals, and then you have a plan. So my plan is, maybe I will decrease some of my discretionary expense. Maybe instead of going eating out once a week, 4 times a month, maybe I'll do it only once a month. I will do more cooking. I will prepare my lunch more, and I can save money. I have a meal plan. I'm going to mention that again in one of the other slides. So these are action plan on how you're going to save more money. Or maybe I'm going to study hard so I can, sorry, I'm coughing. I'm okay. Maybe you're going to maintain your grades so that you can maintain your scholarship. Maybe, I don't know whether there's requirements for your scholarship. So maybe that's your goal. I'm going to study hard and make sure I get the grades I need. So these are action plan things I'm going to do. Resources and tools are like a budget tool. I'm going to go through how you do a budget a little bit further. So these are tools on how you're going to make that happen, right? If you're going to be fit, you want to lose weight, then the tool would be a scale. So a tool would be, if you want to get stronger, you want to bench press whatever amount that you want to get to new level, so whatever that number is. And then the tool would be, I don't know, is it gym membership, get a fitness trainer, or like you got to have resources and tools to help you get your goal. And you have to be able to invest in it and be willing to put the money or the effort in those tools. Sorry. And then measure success. You got to measure. If you can't measure, you're not going to be successful. You got to be able to measure where you are. Okay, so these are I think it's a good slides for you to use. Next slides is, I'm not going to go through the detail of this. At the high school level, we have a whole session on SMART goals and how to set goals. I would think you guys know how to do that. So a goal has to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time frame. So for example, I'll give you an example of a goal of one of my clients. She says, I want to be able to save 3 months of emergency fund by December of 2020. So she right now has been able to pay down all of her debt, and now she wants to save. Well, that's the next step. I always ask people to save some money for emergency before you start saving for investment and retirement. So if you don't have a fund for emergency, in your case, you're a student, so we choose one of the goals. When you finish graduating, one of your goals could be finish paying all the student debt, number 1. And 2, then you start saving, put money aside for 3 months of emergency fund. So whatever your expenditure is for an average for 3 months, that's the amount you want to tuck aside, easily accessible. You don't want to put that in stocks. You need to put it in liquid investment that you can, if you were to something happen and you need to pull into emergency fund, you have some money aside. So that's a goal, because it's time-based. If she wants to do it by December, it's specific. It's 3 months emergency. It's measurable because you can see in her savings account how much she has. Attainable, if you have a budget, that shows how much your income is spending. You know whether it's realistic or not. It's attainable. You can reach it or not. So that's what the goal needs to be. It has to have all those 5 elements. So every time you sign up for a goal, whether it's financial or whatever else in your life, it has to have these 5 elements of it. It seems so smart and simple, but you guys are in university, so but I do it with a high school student, and I think it's easy and smart, easy to do. But when they give me a lot of example, like it's not that easy. It's always missing one element of when you write goals. So just make sure you have all of that when you set up goals. So we're talking here about financial goal. Right? Okay, so budget. So we are still on budget here. Wonderful. I'm going to skip the slides because when I signed up at that 5:50 earlier today, I saw the presenter was going through fixed expenses and variable expenses. So I'm assuming, if am I right? Am I right? She was covering this, I think. So I'm going to in the Q&A, if you want me to talk more about this, we can do that in the Q&A. But what I think she was talking about is fixed expense, variable expense, and discretionary expense. And you can't escape your fixed expense, but your variable is where you can save some money. And here's talking about only the spending part of the equation, not the income. Okay, so you can read this slide. There's some example ideas on action plan you can do if you are behind your budget. So I'll just mention one example here. Okay, sorry. In the heat and electricity as one issue, they put it as a variable expense, but most of it is true, it's variable, but we all need heat and electricity, right? So part of it is actually you can't get away with that. You have to spend that money. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next slide because I think we've gone through that already. So we've done budget. First was pay yourself first. Second is budget. Okay, now you know how to do a budget. Number 3 is investment income. I'm not going to go through a lot of detail of that because so these are, if you have a lot of investment already, I suspect you guys, I'm not saying you don't, maybe you do, but you're a student, I don't think you have a lot of investment. But the key point for you to remember here, you take away for when you start working is money grows, your income, when you invest, you make money on your investment. The money that you make on your investment, you reinvest it. You don't spend it, right? So you reinvest it, and it grows. So this is talking about the power of compound interest. So I want you to think about this and keep that in mind, that money grows. And I think you already know that. But there's an example of if you have an investment that earn about 10%, something like that. I have to. It doubles, like your money would double within 7 years if you make more than 10% return on your investment. That kind of thing. Like I know personally that's what happened. Like every 7 years, my net worth is doubled. So it's a really amazing, and that's amazing. It's an amazing thing. Difficult for you as a student to see this, but over time, if you're disciplined and you invest your money and you don't take it out, you're going to be way ahead. Okay, so that's a takeaway on that. Number 4 is expenditure management. I think some of that the previous presenter has gone through, but I'm going to go through mine because I'm not going to assume that she's done that, but I'm going to go very quick. So 4 key successful spending habit is live within your means. Now, live within your means is something like we all know that we should live within our means. We shouldn't be spending more than what we have. But how difficult it is to do that? It's very difficult because what happens is there's a lot of ads out there. Like sometimes your brain is thinking, oh, I should buy this, I don't know what, something that you like, right? and it gets into your mind, and you see those ads, and you see, I need to get this thing. So that's when, if you're thinking of spending money on something, you have to write it down and let it. If in 2 weeks, a month, you still want that, and ask yourself why you want it. Is it meeting your values? Like, don't just spend the money. Just give it some time. Write it down. Write down is a really good exercise. Differentiate between needs and wants. I think you understand that concept. I think she was going through that anyway. So needs and wants. Needs are things like the fixed expense, or needs are, you can escape that. Wants are stuff that you can live without it. Okay. It's very important to understand that you need needs and wants. So you want to minimize your wants. The less you want. Now you're going to say, life is not fun if I'm not having stuff I want. Well, if you can afford it, it's within your budget, yes. But if you don't have the money, don't spend it. Anyway, that's my suggestion. The other thing is, remember, the $1 save is not really $1 save. It's usually more than $1 save. Why I'm saying this is, your money you make is, when you work, it's after tax money. So if you save $1, right? $1 is actually, it says $2. It's a bit exaggerating, but back in the day, I know taxes was really, you guys have tax a little bit lower now. I mean, me too. I'm compared, like 25 years ago, tax was at over 50%, and the high tax bracket it was. So $1 is $2, meaning you need to make $2 to earn $1, because after the deduction and the taxes, there's only $1 left. So if you're saving $1, you're actually saving $2, meaning you're saving $2 on your income. Am I making any sense? Anyway, just think about your money. The dollar you're saving is actually more if you save it, because of the impact of taxes on your money. So there's a lot more benefit to control your spend than to control your income. You want to make more money. I have a whole suggestion when I meet my clients to tell them how you make more money, like how you deal with your boss, because I was a boss, so I know how do you negotiate with your boss to make more. And a lot of people, you're shy, you're not going to make more because you don't ask your boss, they're going to give you a big increase. You got to ask and perform, both. So remember that when you work, you got to perform and you got to ask. Just performing, you won't get the increase. You got to ask your boss, and then there's ways to ask, the timing and all that. So very important. How you increase your income is you increase your competency, you increase your qualification level, you increase your experience, work experience, and that's how you make more money. Okay, so avoid buying on credit. I don't have to tell you that. You should know that. Like, credit card debt is one of the issue. Like, when you buy something with credit card, you don't see the money going, and then you have to pay that. It's debt. So you have to control your credit spending. And credit card, they charge you like from 18 to 23% if you don't pay your credit card. It's a lot of money. It's a lot. I mean, you can't afford to have credit card debt. You can have student loan, okay, because it's interest free right now. And then even when you work, the interest is not like 19%. I think it's more like a prescribed rate, which is very low these days. So you still will have a student loan to pay, but its interest won't be too high on it. It's still okay, even though I would tell you get rid of that student loan. But the credit card is really bad. It's about 20%, 18 to 23%. So, okay, I'm looking at time at 6:45. Let me get to the end. So type of expenditure. Because you're a student, I'm not going to go through the detail, but it's 3 types of expenditure. Is major capital expenditure, day-to-day expenditure, and hidden expenditure. So I'm just going to mention those. I'm not going to go through detail. Capital expenditure is mortgage. If you buy a house, it's a big amount of your spending. If you buy a car, you have to buy appliances for your home, or you have kids, and people who have kids, they got to save for their university. So these are big capital expenditure. Okay, I'm not going to go through that. Sorry. So the area where you student can save is these daily expenditure. This is where you have opportunity to save money. Your food purchases is have a meal plan. Everybody knows that if you have a meal plan, you're going to spend less. You have a weekly plan for your meal. You're not going to be like, assignment. You got a test tomorrow. Then you just get something, you grab something quick to eat. If you had planned it, you prepared your food, you're going to eat healthier, better, and you're going to meet your budget, and you're going to spend a lot of money. So if you can plan your meal on the weekend when you have the time, it's a good exercise. Just not do the budget, but do your planning. This is one area where you can really save a lot of money if you do that well. House for opening says, I want to mention that in your case, you have rent. I'm assuming you guys have rent, student, you're living in a dorm or you're renting an apartment. Transportation, I think you're hopefully you're very close to university. You can walk to your classes, but that would be an expense. But this will be fixed if you have to take the bus every day or the train, and then it's a fixed expense. Where you make your purchases, of course, have an impact. Where you buy stuff, like buy stuff in bulk, you buy stuff at places that's cheaper than other places, right? So I'll let you read this. This is where you can save money. Of course, you can save money on clothing and all of that. I'm going to mention one thing: membership, subscription. If you have iPhone, Samsung Galaxy, so any subscription, you got to check your subscription. That's where an area where me as included students, we sometimes, those things automatically renews, and we don't take charge. Make a list of all your subscription and ask yourself, do I need these? If you're not using an app, if you're using the app, go in and unsubscribe, and then when it doesn't automatically get your money on it to subscribe. Okay, so subscription is an area where I think there's a lot of opportunity if you have a lot of subscription to save some money. Lottery, I'm not going to talk about lottery. I've talked about credit cards. So when you say hidden expenses, is credit cards mostly. I think it's a good. In the past, I would say, people say spend money, use cash, but it's not practical. You need a credit card. I mean, it's not practical to pay things in cash, especially now that we are, we do everything online. But it's a good idea to not have many credit cards. Two credit cards is more than enough, not more than two. And you can track it easier because you have a lot of credit card. They offer you all kinds of offers, tempt you to get more credit card, but just two is enough because it's easier for you to keep track of your spending with two credit card. Okay. So I'm almost done here. So create a plan, keep the momentum going. So I already talked about that. Measure your goals. Focus on making your hard-earned money work to achieve financial goals. So success depends on controlling expenses and living within your means. Observe daily financial decisions just to meet goals. So how do you track your expenses? So you track it on a weekly basis. I wish I could see you guys. I'm talking. I have no idea whether you guys are or will be here. I hope you are. Anyway, so you track your spending. Some people have to do it on a daily basis. Some people do it weekly. But I suggest as a minimum, you should do it on a monthly basis. Okay. You should have received those, a goal setting worksheet and a values validator worksheet. So this is just you can complete it by yourself. These are to help you know what you value, and then when you do your budget and your spending, it's a good idea to see whether your spending is meeting your values. So it's a good exercise. I don't have time to do this now, but it's a good exercise to look at how am I spending my money? Is my spending meeting my values? So it's good. It's good to do that. So I think that's it. That's all I have. This is Q&A. You got my contact at the end. Yeah, this is me. And if you have any questions, I've lost a few people here. I think we had 10 at the beginning of 6 now. So I wish I got those 4.
I had a question.
Eh?
I had a question. So for students that do have to take loans, what strategies would you recommend in order to help us save ahead of time? Would we follow the same strategies you mentioned earlier in terms of saving to pay back our loans? Is there any tips you would have for students?
I think you got to take the loan because it's free.
Mm-hmm.
If you can, like for me, my son started university this September, and he's got some loans. He's got some bursary. My strategy with him is he's not going to touch that loan. We're going to invest it. We're going to invest it in something safe, and then when the time comes to pay back that loan, we're going to just pay the whole thing. Right? Like we're not going to have this debt. But that's an extreme. I know most people will need that money. And
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
strategy would be to do a budget that try to minimize the use of that loan. That's what I'm going to suggest. But it's all within doing a budget, looking at your expenses, and really you really want not to have that. To have to, like I said though, at the end of the day, it's not too bad of a thing because the interest rate on the student loan is not high. But in terms of strategies, it's tool of budgeting tool to budget to try to avoid to have to use that money.
Mm-hmm. Going back to the budgeting, that budgeting slides you had, I want to maybe give a few tips to the people that are here as well. I use this a lot.
Yes, because
I've used these for the past couple of years, and it's been very helpful in terms of understanding what my needs are every month, if it changes, or year to year, depending on any grants I get or any income that I may have. And you mentioned something on slide 12 about food and like watching the sales, and that's like very important. I always look at the flyers at the weeks that I want to go shopping. I look at anything I need, make sure I get, and if I know it's on sale, I'll get it in bulk if I can afford it at that time. And oh, we have a question from Cindy. Is it recommended to have more than one credit card?
I said my suggestion, like this is Jean-Marie's suggestion, is to have two credit card, and I said two. Why? Because I personally I have a Mastercard and a Visa, because that's the two cards. American Express is really good in terms of their offer, but a lot of places they don't accept American Express, and the reason is because American Express, they charge a higher fee for business. And business, a lot of places, I'm not going to pay that higher fee. I'm not going to accept that American Express. That's why people turn it down. But even though it's a really great card to have, so I use Visa and Mastercard. I got one Mastercard, one Visa. So why would you have three, four? Like I know there's a lot. So a lot of those cards as well, when they have money back, percentage money back, the way they do the card is you have to have a minimum spend. And then the benefit increases after. Not all cards are like this, but nowadays more cards are not like this now. But in the past, I still have a few cards like this. So if you accumulate your expenses into one card, you're actually getting more benefit by doing this than to extend your spend over 5 cards, let's say, because then you're not hitting the minimum over 5 cards. So your whatever cash back or points you're accumulating. So you see the trick is they give you those points, they make you feel good when you're spending, but actually make you spend more, right? They've done a study that if you pay things with cash, you're actually spending 23% less on the average person who's pays cash. But now, like I said, it's very difficult to get by without a credit card. So would I suggest having more than 2 cards? I mean, it's okay. I'm not against it, as long as you're tracking it, as long as you know where your spending is. But to make your life simpler and easier, I think 2 cards is more than enough. And even within the 2 card, I would just use one. I just use one, and then the second card is just a backup. It's just a backup card I barely use. So I can see everything into one card, and it's easier to track and easier to see your spend like that way. Sorry.
Thank you for that question, Cindy. I also want to give one more tip on the heat and electricity part. When you mentioned monitor heat levels, I live in an apartment building and we also pay for heat and electricity. And one thing that we've done is we've monitored the hours that electricity is highest. So I noticed that, like, for me personally, from 5 to 7, that's when they charge the highest. So we try to use the
Yes,
least amount of
good point.
energy within our
Very good
house.
point. Yeah.
And like I noticed that like anything after 7's quite cheap, like it's the cheapest of the
Yeah.
day, and the
Yeah.
weekends also are also cheaper. So I made sure, like, we tend to look at that, and we always go on that schedule. And we also like look at seasons, because winter
Yeah.
tends to be a bit more expensive
Yeah.
than summer. So if we can, we try and save ahead of time,
Yeah.
or anything like that.
Yes. Yes. I'm so glad you say that, because I need to do that more myself. Like I know this, I'm teaching this. And I know sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't have time now to do my laundry. And it's the peak time right now, and I do it. But I'm glad you're saying that. Like I'm teaching this, but I'm going to be more disciplined myself, because it's a big difference. I mean, the rates it's like way, oh my God, like it's a big difference. It's a good point you're making here.
It really can be. I had a question about a credit card. So I have a credit card, and I have this option of a cashback.
Yep.
And can you give more information on that for people that don't know? But also, I don't ever use my credit card unless I know I can pay it off that day, or at least in the coming week.
Yeah.
So the only purpose I use it for is to buy textbooks or to buy meals or whatever the case is. But I know that, like, in the couple of days or the next week, I have the money to pay it off. So it's completely like my credit is at a zero, and then I get some cash back. And that is good, because over time I can also use that to pay off some of the debt that I have on my
Yeah.
card.
Yeah.
So would you recommend that for people as well?
Oh yeah, definitely. You're really good. You're going to do well.
Okay,
Yeah, I think
thank you.
you already have good habits. Yeah, definitely, it's something to do. Yeah. You don't use your credit card. You just use it for necessities, and you pay it down. That's perfect. That's exactly what you should be doing.
Yeah, when I first got it, the person who created the account for me told like advised me to do that, and I've been doing that ever
Yeah,
since, and it's been really
yeah,
helpful.
yeah. And it helps too with your credit score, which is not something I tend to like focus too much on. But a good
Mm-hmm.
credit score will help you in the future when you need a loan. And by doing this, you're going to be, if you go to the bank one day when you need the real money to buy a house, let's say, you're going to have a good credit, and they're going to have you have a better chance to get a better interest rate, because of your habit that you, as a student, you already shown. They're going to look at your credit report, and they're going to show, oh, as a student, she was always paying her cards on time. So somebody we can give a little bit lower rate is less risky.
It's good to know. Yeah, it's good to know for the future. All right. Does anyone have any other questions?
Sorry, just before we end, could everyone remember to fill out the survey? I'll
Yes,
just
thank you.
recopy the link and I'll send it again in the chat. So, oh, I don't think I copied it right. But here. Yeah, so could everyone just remember to fill out the survey, please, before we leave? That would be great. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, I really appreciate you write the feedback. It helps us. It helps me. We do this as a volunteer, so it gets me. I know I did a session last week with high school students, and those guys were amazing. Like they all write like long feedback. I couldn't believe it. Like it was really good. I'm not asking you guys to write long feedback, but it just gives us a kind of know how we can get better. So it's very helpful.
All right. Well, it's 7 o'clock now. Thank you so very much for attending today and giving us all this great advice. I will definitely be using this in the coming days and for the rest of my life. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone else who attended the event.
Okay,
really
guys,
appreciate it.
I want to wish you all good luck in your studies, and yeah. So hang in there, hang in there. You know, one other thing I like to teach people is not about just money, but it's life is this constant battle sometimes. Sometimes things go well. When things go well, you got to be very thankful and grateful. And when things don't go well, you got to be, you know, if you don't, you overspend, let's say, and then, you know, you're not meeting your budget goal, don't get discouraged. You just refocus and redo it and just to get it right. So the point is never give up, never give up. You guys are doing great. You're all of your students are doing great. So keep at it. That's my parting words. I'm frozen. Stop share.